G'day there, Jess here, and welcome back to the Create and Thrive podcast. This is episode 283, and today I'm very excited to bring you an interview with Yulia Anderson of MatryoshkaDollShop. One of the reasons I'm excited to bring this to you is I think you'll find it incredibly useful. Another reason is because I absolutely loved talking with Yulia. And the third reason is because she is actually a long-term listener of the Create and Thrive podcast. And we discussed that in this episode, how when she was thinking about starting her handmade business, she found this podcast and kind of binge listened to it and would listen to it while she was embroidering and taking care of her baby. And that's one of the things I love about having a podcast is people can listen while they do other things. And it was a big reason why I started the podcast in the first place, because I figured it was the perfect medium for makers to learn, because you can just listen while you work. So Yulia talks a lot about her success on Instagram in this episode. She has, as of recording, 169,000 followers in less than 3 years on Instagram. And she says that that's definitely been a big part in the success of her business, which has been her full-time gig for a little while now. And she goes into how she managed to grow her following on Instagram, the strategies she used. She's a very hard worker, and she has put her heart and soul and her mind and all of her effort into growing her business over the last few years. So she shares that journey while having 2 children, by the way. So I personally think that's incredibly impressive, and she's done an amazing job. So I was really, really happy that she agreed to come on the podcast and share her story with us all today. Before we dive in to the interview, I just want to remind you, if you have an Etsy shop, I'm running the Etsy Shop Spring Clean Challenge over on YouTube right now. It is a free 2-week challenge where I'm taking you through 10 steps to spruce up your Etsy shop for spring. Now, of course, if you are one of my Australian or Southern Hemispherian listeners, you'll be like, Jess, it's autumn. What are you talking about? Yes, here it is coming into autumn, and it is a beautiful autumn after a very hot and wet, mostly wet and stormy summer here. So I'm enjoying the blue sky days, and I'm sure a lot of you are too. But I know that the majority of you who listen to this show are actually in the Northern Hemisphere, mostly in the US. So I know for you, you are now coming into spring, and that's why I decided to do the Spring Clean Challenge. Personally, it works for me. It doesn't matter when you do it. The point is to do it at some sort of regular interval, going through these steps and updating these little things. And the point of this challenge is to allow you to do small things each day that you can fit into your workday. I'm not going to ask you to rephotograph your shop or completely rethink your branding. I'm just going to be guiding you through small improvements you can make that when you add them all up and put them all together, will help you to revamp and overhaul your shop. So if you'd like to participate in that, just head on over to YouTube, youtube.com/Jess Van Den. That is my channel. You will find all the videos there. Make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any future episodes over there. I'm doing the challenge as well. So I'm actually doing each step alongside you, making sure that my shop is up to scratch at this time. So I hope you enjoy it. If you are, let me know on Instagram. @Create and Thrive is where you can find me on Instagram. And of course, last but definitely not least, I want to give a shout out and a thanks to all the members of the Thrivers Circle, my membership community for makers. I don't run ads in this podcast. It relies solely on your support, my listeners, by buying one of my courses, one of my critiques, or joining the Thrivers Circle and getting access to my Your Year to Thrive course, which is a year-long course that will teach you everything you need to know to start and grow a thriving and profitable handmade business. And of course, the 40+ video workshops that are inside the circle, plus our community, access to me every weekday in our community, and multiple live events each month as well. There's a lot going on there. The point of the circle is to speed up your progress. You can learn all of this stuff for free, absolutely. Listening to this podcast, watching my YouTube channel, Googling stuff, learning from friends and colleagues. But the point of joining the circle is to fast track your progress, and especially with that Your Year to Thrive course, it's very in-depth and sequential, and it takes you through all different aspects, no matter where you're selling. If you're one of my Set Up Shop students, Set Up Shop is all about selling specifically online, but Your Year to Thrive is much, much bigger than that. It covers all elements of running a handmade business, no matter where you want to sell, no matter what you're selling or what sort of business you have. So that is the point of that. And of course, having that support and being able to work with me and ask me questions, and I do shop critiques and all sorts of stuff. So thank you for your support. If you have purchased anything from me in the past or plan on doing so in the future, I couldn't afford to do this without you. Thank you so much. All right, so let's get into today's interview. I hope you enjoy this one. If you do, let me know on Instagram, and make sure to go follow Yulia on Instagram as well. She's at MatryoshkaDollShop. If you're not sure how to spell that, look in the show notes. It's down there in the show notes. And of course, I will link to her on my Instagram in the next few days as well. Thank you so much for being here and listening to the show. Now let's get to it. Do you want to grow a thriving, profitable handmade business? My name's Jess and I'm here to help you do just that. I took my own handmade business full-time in 2010, and since 2013, I've helped thousands of makers just like you create and grow successful handmade businesses. So, are you ready to thrive? Let's get learning. Welcome everyone. I'm here today with Yulia Anderson from MatryoshkaDollShop. Say that 5 times fast. I had to practice before recording. It's one of those words I've seen my whole life. And I actually have this adorable set of measuring cups that are actually Matryoshka dolls, which I love and I use all the time. So Yulia is here today to talk about her amazing business. Welcome to the podcast.
Well, hi, Jess. Thank you for having me. I'm very happy to be a guest on one of my favorite podcasts.
That's so excited. So exciting. I love having listeners on the show, especially people like yourself who've done such an amazing job of growing your business, which is obviously what we're here to talk about today. Not only have you grown an amazing successful business, but you've also grown a really large following on Instagram. So we're going to be talking about that a little bit as well today, kind of how you did that. But before we dive into the details, can you just give us a little bit of background on who you are, how you came to do what you're doing today, and why you started your business?
Yes, sure. I'll be happy to. So, I have always been very creative and did all sorts of crafts throughout the years. I started with jewelry, I did cards, Christmas decor, wreath, ornaments, you name it. I crocheted and did embroidery. Now this year I'm getting to weaving. So just all kinds of stuff. We creative people, we just can't sit still. We always need to do something. And so all those were my hobbies, and I love doing markets and craft shows, craft fairs, to set up a booth and bring my products. And it was a lot of fun for me to after you make so much, you kind of accumulate all that stuff and you need to somehow get rid of it. So it was a fun way for me to get out and earn some extra cash so that I could go back to the craft store and spend it on more craft supplies.
Sounds familiar.
Yes. So I did that. And so then a few years ago, I noticed that embroidery, which I learned it in middle school, and that was a long time ago, it's become very popular. It's this old-fashioned craft that kind of came back, and people really got into it. And I wanted to get back to it myself because I missed it. I knew how to do it, and I thought, oh, let's give it another go. And so I started stitching again, but it didn't make sense for me to do craft shows with that because these pieces that I create, they're small. And so to have a booth, I would need a lot of inventory. And because it's a very time consuming craft, I could spend hours and days and maybe a full week on one piece. And that just wasn't really working out for me to do craft shows with that. And to be able to price that accordingly too. So I figured, you know what? I think it's time for me to start an Etsy shop. I know the e-commerce is booming, and what better, time to do it. And at the time I was already staying home with my child because before I was working full time and I just couldn't really afford to give all that time to that. So now I was a little bit more free, and I said, okay, let's open a shop. So I did that. I opened my Etsy shop in 2019. That was almost 3 years ago. And my first year was very slow. I worked very hard day and night. I was stitching like crazy. And at the end of the year, I made nothing. I literally made like $2,000, and it was terrible. I put in so much work and I had nothing to show for it. Didn't have any return. And it was pretty discouraging, but I was determined to make it work because I was very passionate about it. So then my second year was better. I made some changes, kind of found ways to become more productive and efficient and better products. So then I was able to replace my old job income in my second year. And so I felt good about that. Then my third year right now, it's finishing my third year, I can finally say that I have a successful handmade business that is bringing meaningful income, and I love what I do, and I love being my own boss. So right now I'm at the point where I can say it's working out, and this is where I want to be.
That's really awesome. And I love that trajectory in that, you say that whole first year you worked so hard, but just didn't seem to be working. But then you made some changes, and then, things started to pick up.
For sure. It's all about that. It's all about learning and growing. And I mean, I still work very hard. I still work a lot, and I'm busy, but now I have results. So at least, I have the fruit from what I put in, I get out of it.
Yes, and it can be so disheartening to people when they are starting out and they're doing all this work and really not seeing any return. And I really try to stress to people that that's really normal. Like, it takes a lot of time in the beginning because you're learning so much about business, running business, getting started, trying to improve your craft even, that, it can take that time to build momentum in your business.
For sure. That's totally normal. Yeah, you can't really start a ladder being at the top. You gotta climb all those steps one by one, and nobody starts there. We all start at the beginning. So it is hard for you, but it's probably hard for everybody. And I like this phrase I read somewhere: don't compare your chapter 2 to somebody's chapter 20. It makes sense because it's just totally different. You can't, I mean, it's normal to get discouraged. I understand. I did get discouraged many times, but also I was very motivated because I saw what people can do. And I knew if they can, so can I. So I knew it was possible, and that was pushing me to keep going. So
I love that. That's great. So can we pinpoint maybe some of what those changes were that you made, or some of those steps that you took that you started to see results from?
Oh, for sure. Yes. So why I started analyzing why I put in all that work and all the time and it didn't come to anything. Well, I was really underpricing my work because the first year you're transitioning from it being a hobby to making it into a business. It's hard for, makers to, at first, unless you already started with the idea of I'm gonna build a business and make money. Mine was a slow process, and I was still in that hobby mentality. So yeah, I was underpricing my work very badly, and practically working for nothing. So that was my main mistake, I think, something I've learned. So I got rid of all the items that were very time consuming to make, and I couldn't really charge that much because, I mean, I know I wouldn't pay it for sure if I was, but so I got rid of those, and I brought in more products that were quicker projects, but I knew people wanted them. So I knew they would have a market and they would sell. I offered personalized items that I could charge more for. I just learned everything about batching, not just even in the process of making your product, but batching everything, like photography, taking all the photos so you're set for the next month in your content, batching and ordering supplies. I used to, okay, I'll get this one here, this one store here. And so, I mean, every day I was buying something on all these different places, going places, websites, just do it all at once, batching in. Like, I didn't need to go to the post office every time one order comes in. I didn't have to go twice a day. That was not a good way to spend my time. So all those things you just learn in the process. I listened to all kinds of podcasts and everything I could get my hands on just to learn about ways to be more efficient and, manage my time, organized, and redid all my, like, a studio space where everything is very like quick reach, so I don't have to go search in my closet which box is there. So everything, I just grab it all, make it quicker, more efficient. Just changes like that, and that definitely helped a lot.
What about when it comes to products? Because obviously you started off selling embroideries, but in your shop you also now have kits and you have patterns. So how did that all come about?
Yes. Well, actually, that's probably the biggest change that I forgot to mention. Yes, I knew I couldn't build a sustainable business if I kept spending 5 hours to make this one piece. So it was a pretty steep learning curve, but I saw this talk about digital patterns and just downloadable items, and I thought, okay, they say passive income, this is exactly what I need. And it took some learning. I took some time. It wasn't easy for me at all, but I knew this is the way to go. So I learned the program and started creating digital patterns for my designs. So before, people could only buy a finished piece that I make for them, but then there was a huge market of people who wanted to do the craft themselves. And so then I wanted to target them, and there was such huge demand for it. So I started making patterns in kits and sell supplies so that people can do it themselves. And with the patterns, I think right now they bring the majority of my income. And for the most part, I'd say it's pretty passive. At first, I have to put in a lot of time and effort to create it. But then after that, I would say it's pretty much passive. So that was a huge switch and made a big difference.
Do you think the times had something to do with that? Like the fact that you sort of came into all of that around COVID lockdown, times?
I would say so. Yes, yeah. I think so. That's what my husband said. I think my business was already starting to grow a little bit because I had already started making some changes, but it definitely amplified it. And yes, it did help. I just started offering what people needed at the time. And, if you want if you have the product that people want, it's important. You can create all you want that you like, but if you want to make money, you got to sell what people want.
Yes, that's a very, very important point. And it can be a hard one for us to come to terms with as creatives, because we're so used to just making for ourselves,
yes.
Which is fine until you want to make a business out of it, in which case you really do have to understand your customer and what they want and what they're looking for, because by making those alterations, it can make all the difference, like it has with you, adding those parts into the business you weren't particularly comfortable with at first, but it was worth the effort to learn it, and it's paid off for you, definitely. So let's talk a little bit about Instagram. When did you start on that, and what's your strategy with that, and what has worked for you to grow such a following on Instagram? I think you said you had something like 150,000 followers.
Yes, I just reached 150,000 followers on Instagram. I've had it for about 3 years. I started about the same time as I opened my shop, and it's crazy. I mean, I think I did pretty good. It is a lot of work. It's not like I just went viral one day and I wake up to this number. No, it's been a lot of steady growth, and a couple of times I kind of did get lucky because maybe I figured out the strategy or something. I don't know. I kind of found a way that it worked for me, and I went with it, and it brought so in this 3-year path, 2 times I had what happened is in 3 months I earned I gained 30,000 followers. That happened twice to me. The first one was, I first started it, I didn't know anything about Instagram. I just felt like I needed to have it. And I kept posting and nobody was following me. Nobody was liking me. I didn't know what was happening. And turns out my profile was set up as private, so nobody could ever see anything. And I had no clue. So that's how much I knew about Instagram. So I started digging it, learning everything I could, and found different ways that I saw were working. I paid attention to what works, what doesn't. And one day I saw this challenge on Instagram for makers for it's called March Meet the Maker, where for 30 days each day you post a picture or photo and you write about a certain topic. So it was pretty hard for me because I was pretty sporadic, and I had to be on it every single day. And I did that. Halfway through, I was about done with it because it was a lot of work for me. I didn't think to plan ahead. So every day I would just get on, see what the topic for the day was. And here I needed to take a photo, think what I'm going to say. It was pretty exhausting. So, but then I saw some results and people started following me like big chunks. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to do it to the end. So it ended, and I checked my statistics, and there were like 300, 400, 500 people started to follow me every single day. So I thought, you know what? I think being consistent in just doing it regularly, that's what works. And I kept doing that. And just like that, in 3 months, 30,000 people from like nothing. I had a couple hundred maybe before. And so from then on, it was just a consistent growth. And then when Reels came out, and we all have strong feelings about Reels, and I did as well. Oh boy, did I not like them. But I felt like they were here to stay, and I either could just throw in the towel, say forget it, or just learn it, and I guess be flexible and give it a try. And I tried many times, and I think I finally got it. Now I can make a decent reel, and I know how to do it. And so when I started posting Reels, and the same thing happened, in 3 months, I get another 30,000 people. So yeah, for me, they worked. And now this is a new feature, which is not available to most people, but you can get paid with Reels now. And that's what I'm doing. For 3 months now. I've been making money making Reels. I don't do anything extra. Just like normal, I post my Reels, and bam, each month I get $1,000 for making Reels. So I think they're going to roll it out to more people this year and next year. Right now, they're just testing it. And I somehow got included in the, that number of people who it was open to. But I think that's pretty great because you can actually get something out of it, out of all the work you put in.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I kind of heard people talking about that. And I think they're doing on YouTube, they're doing something similar with shorts, whereas if you make YouTube shorts and you just happen to be picked, there's no real rhyme or reason as far as I'm aware, but they pick, certain people every month to actually pay them out of some pool of money. So I'm assuming Instagram's doing something similar to that as well. So, it's good to see, frankly, it's good to see these companies actually paying their content creators for a change. It makes a nice change. So hopefully that's something that sticks around. So you took part in the challenge, saw some consistent growth from that. Keep being consistent. Does that mean you do like a post every day? Like, what's your schedule?
I do make a post every day. I have for a long time now, and I barely ever skip a day. And it's work. It takes time and effort to think about. It's got to be valuable content, not just hi, happy Sunday, and that's it every day, But batching helps. When I take my photos, I do different angles, close-ups, all kinds of different photos, groups. I pull out some other products while I already have it set up, so I can just snap them all and then edit them all at once. And I have right now 3 years worth of pictures that I can use for my Instagram. And then when you write a post, that's pretty challenging, I think, too, for many people to think of what am I going to write today about. But I just simply go to outline the 4 types of posts. They got to be informative. educational, inspiring, or entertaining. And as long as my content answers one of those, it's pretty good, and there's different things you can post. I know that videos, they see a lot of engagement more than photos, so I try to stick with those. And if you don't like reels, or there are other ways you can do videos. Just set up your phone and do a time lapse of what you're doing, you're packing, you're creating, whatever, or just show your product. I do a lot of that on Pinterest now, and that's another great platform that worked for me well too. Pretty simple, really. You don't need to do much. It's not even a social platform, so just more like a search engine, and just post a bunch of videos there, and they drive great traffic to your shop. But yeah, on Instagram, I post once a day. It's not, I don't think that's the magic number. You can be posting 2-3 times a day and still have results, but anything less than that, I think you're just not gonna grow as fast.
Yeah, for sure. So when it comes to the growth of your actual shop and the traffic going to your shop, what would you say are the kind of the top drivers of traffic to your shop? Is it more you're seeing the results from Instagram and Pinterest, or do you get a lot of Etsy search results, or is it a bit of a mix?
It's a mix. Right now, it's really 50-50. Etsy brings half of my traffic, and I do have with my Instagram primarily, and a good bit with Pinterest. It used to be the other way. It used to be, we've always been kind of 50-50, but my Pinterest used to perform really well for me. And I think something's changed a few months back, and all of a sudden it just wasn't. So I didn't know what happened. But now that they have these, what do they call them? Not stories, but these little...
Oh, yes.
I
know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. Those little like videos that you can do. So now I try to do those. And just recently I noticed that my traffic is coming back again, because I used to have 10 million views a month from Pinterest. And that's a pretty high number. So of course, a chunk of that converts, and I know sales came from that as well. So Instagram is my main platform that I bring traffic from when it comes to like me doing it, and then Pinterest.
Awesome. So let's talk about your photography for a minute, because I think that's something that sets you apart, is that you have really beautiful photography. Is that all self-taught? Did you just kind of play around and see what worked?
Oh, totally self-taught. I'm no photographer at all. And, if we scroll back down to my feed, like anybody's, it's going to look different. But we all know with selling online, your photos is everything. You got to have good photography. So, yeah, just, I guess with time and practice and experience, you get better and better. And there's no really secret. You go, natural light and then good editing program. I use Lightroom, and that's it does wonders. I really recommend that to anybody. Easy to use, and it works well. But yeah, that's as far as photography goes. I pay a lot of attention to that, because that's what drives people, makes them buy, makes them click and look. And on Instagram, people pretty much decide whether to follow you or not based on how your feed looks. They're not gonna go through and read about what you have to say. If they like it, they'll follow, and then they will read and get to know you better. But if it's all sporadic and just not good photos,
Yeah, you're not going to get those follows, definitely.
Yes.
So also, looking at your shop, it's very, very well branded. Like your color, your use of color in your products, in your logo, and in your branding. Did it take you some time to develop that sort of branded feel and palette to your shop, or was that just kind of naturally what you liked in the beginning, and you went with it?
Well, that's a really nice compliment, because it's been a struggle for me. I always felt like I don't have I need branding. I want to be a brand and not just an Etsy shop. but I just couldn't. So I ended up just doing it all by myself, and I'm not that kind of technical at all. I don't have the designer skills. I really don't know how to do those things. It's all through just learning and self-teaching and figuring things out. There's been a lot of figuring things out. I mean, if you're a business owner, that's natural. That comes with it. You can't avoid it. For the colors and the branding, that's not how it started at all. It's just over time, the more you create and make and offer products, and you see what's popular, what people like, and I've always tried to find that sweet spot where I don't just do only what I like or only what people want when I'm not happy doing something that I don't enjoy, but gotta find that balance between I like it and it's something that people want. So it just kind of evolved over time, and I came to certain colors or color palette that I enjoy, and I know people kind of know me for, because I get a lot of messages and feedback on that, particularly my colors. And so now I notice that that's the colors I wear, that's the colors are in my home. It's just everywhere, and anything I buy, it's always in those colors. Whether I just like made that decision, it just happens. So yeah, with time you just I guess maybe like find yourself, because at first it's hard to know. Not everybody starts out knowing exactly what they are or what they're about, but that's how it came about.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good thing for people to hear, because a lot of people who say take my setup shop course, or are getting started with a business, I talk about figuring out your branding in the beginning, and people get really hung up on making it perfect. And I'm like, just figure something out for now. Like, It doesn't have to be perfect. Just come up with something that's somewhat cohesive and run with it. But you can change it later. Like, your business will evolve, your brand will evolve. And there's no reason why in a year or two, if it's just you've moved in a different direction, you've figured out what you're really about, you can change things. It took my jewellery business, it took me about 4 years before I really honed in on what it was about, and figured out my branding and my colors and all that sort of stuff. And I went through so many different iterations over the time, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
You gotta try different things until you find the one that you like and your customers like.
Hey, do you want to start or overhaul your Etsy shop? If so, I have a freebie for you. It is my free Etsy Quick Start Guide, and it's just a 2-page checklist that will help you to make sure that you don't miss any important steps when you're starting or overhauling your Etsy shop. Don't make these common Etsy mistakes. Make sure your Etsy shop is the best that it can be. It's also packed full of links and additional resources on all aspects of Etsy shop setup. You can get it now by heading over to createandthrive.com/Etsy guide. That's createandthrive.com/Etsy guide. Can I ask where the name came from? I'm curious.
Oh, the name, yes. I know it's a tricky name, and maybe that's the only part that I didn't really think through when I was picking out the name for people to be able to say it or type it out. So I knew I did not want to make my name specific to embroidery, not Yulia's stitches or Yulia's embroidery hoops or stuff like that, because even though I want to continue doing it for as long as, I love it and there's market for it, trends go up and down and demand comes and goes, I don't want to limit myself to this only. And my past shows that I'm interested in other things too. This may not be what I'll be doing forever. So I wanted something that just true to me and myself, and because which I'm sure by now you can tell I have an accent. So I was born and I grew up in Russia, and I moved here to the States maybe 11 years ago. But so I wanted something that was specific to me and maybe my roots or who I am. And because I was from Russia, I just picked this cute name, MatryoshkaDollShop. Those little things, they're known as Russian dolls or nesting dolls, babushka dolls. People call them different things, but they're this traditional kind of souvenir and just something from Russia. So that's how it really came.
Yeah, I think it's super cute. I love your logo too. It's very, very cute. So let's talk a bit about the nitty gritty of the process. And what would you say has been one of the biggest challenges you've had to overcome during this process?
Okay. Challenging many challenges, so many challenges, but with that also a lot of victories, honestly.
Let's talk about both the biggest challenges, biggest victories. Let's go through those.
Yeah. So let's see. Probably the biggest challenge for me has been, I'm getting a little better at this now, but for the longest time, it was marketing my products, being comfortable with marketing, and just overcoming the fears that come with myself being a extreme introvert, like getting myself out there and talking about my products and selling my products to people. But then you think that it's an online business and it's not like you have to get up on the stage and pitch your product in front of a big audience. You do this behind a computer or the screen, and it makes it much easier that way. So like, this is the way to go. But then of course, because of that, even more you need to market your product, because how will people see it? So that's where social media comes in. And I've really had to overcome a lot of fears and feeling uncomfortable. In just this past year, 2021, my goal was to, do more of that, because I knew I had to add myself in it, some personality, and connect with people. So I started doing like stories on Instagram, showing my product. And I, like, even up until now, I have never done a live video. At this point, I'm not comfortable with that. And maybe someday I will. It's a work in progress. But you start with small steps. You start easy and just easing into it. I would just show my product and say just a few words about what it is, and send people to my shop. And like, slowly I make some progress, and I'm feeling more comfortable just having my voice there. I'm not even showing that much of myself, but really marketing. Nobody likes salesy people, or salesmen. And I would make the worst salesperson like you could find, honestly. I can't sell things. But when it comes to my products and my business, I feel very passionate about it. And that gives me the push, and that helps me. You know what? I got to do it. And because I want to, I will do it. So what this realization that helped me a lot was, you don't have to sell your stuff. You just need to tell a story. People love stories. Just tell a story. Just say what it is, why you love it, what's great about it, why they will love it. Just pretty much share it. You gotta put your product out there. And what happens is, like, what people don't see, they can't buy. So that's why then social media is there to help you do that. And it's free marketing. You don't need to pay for it. It can be all organic. It has been for me. Just I guess getting comfortable with that, showing myself. And it's been a work in progress. And like right now, I this past year I did my first in-person workshop, which was pretty big for me, to just go out there and teach 25 people how to do embroidery. Then in a few weeks, I have a brand coming to my home to do a story about my business, which is pretty scary, but you gotta feel the fear and do it anyway. So I just keep telling that myself.
Yes.
It's always been good for me. When it's done, you'll be so happy you did it.
Yeah.
So it's no matter how hard it is, it's good for you. And look, right now, I'm sitting here in this episode on the podcast with you. You tell me that 6 months ago, and I was saying never in a million years. What are you talking about? So that's how you get there, taking small steps.
I love it. Yes, feel the fear, do it anyway. Brilliant, brilliant. So let's look at the rest of your life, because I'm curious. You're a mum. You have 2 kids. You work from home. How does the week, the day, how does that all work in your life? How do you balance everything out?
Okay, balance, this word.
I know it's a terrible
Where
word.
do I start? I mean, there's so much to say
How do you
here.
manage it all?
Yes. Well, I'm making a shift right now currently, but if you asked me this just a little bit ago, my my days were very hectic and just sporadic and overwhelming, very chaotic. Um,
Hmm.
because I work from home, it's my home business, but then I have a 2-year-old, which I started the business right a few months before she was born. So
Hmm.
for the longest time, I had this baby, and then my business was my baby, and both of them needed 100% of my time. And then I have another child, then my husband, and the home, other responsibilities, everything needed a part of me, and there was nothing left. I was spread so thin for a year when I first started, and my daughter was born. I didn't take any time off at all. I was so
Hmm.
committed to growing this business. I was afraid to fail, and I thought I'm going to give it everything I have. So literally this story, just thought about it. I when we were in the hospital, the next day after the baby was born, we were still in the hospital. I actually sent my husband to the post office to send this package for me because I just couldn't do it. I would do it if I could, but I couldn't. And he was with me. We were all in this blur and in pain. And I said, "You got to go to the post office and send this." That's just how committed I was. And so, yeah, the first year was pretty rough because she didn't sleep good at all. And I was giving so much time to my business. So for a whole year, I would say I didn't sleep practically. I got about 4 hours of sleep every night for a year. It was so
Oof.
exhausting. I cannot tell you, it was probably the darkest year of my life. But I made a mistake of not taking time off. If I could do
Mm.
it differently, I would go back and no, I just had a baby, I need to take care of the baby and myself and my family. But this business, I was very passionate about it. So that was, yeah, there was no work-life balance there. It was terrible. Then I knew I had to change something had to be done. It couldn't go on much longer, and that's when I started to finding ways to figure it out. So slowly it was getting better and better, and finally i I was still busy, but at least I was making money. But then I just realized, you know what, the more, like, the further you're in your path and the more success you have, all these things and opportunities will just come your way, and they don't stop. And you will always have more opportunities than you have time
Mm.
for them, really. So you got to discern um, what to say yes to and what you need to be okay with letting go, because you can't do it all the time. So then I came across Christy Wright. She has a podcast, The Christy Wright Show, and she wrote a book, Take Back Your Time. It drastically changed my view on work-life balance and helped in so many ways. And if you're a walking, breathing, living thing, you need to read that book. Everybody needs to read that book. I would so recommend it. And I honestly, I just read right now. I'm still like on page 20, but I keep rereading them. There's so much truth in those first 20 pages that I can't go on until I just keep rereading and soaking it all in, because it's just so good. Um, so um, what happened? Well, what she talks about is how the world shows us work-life balance and how we think about it. It's us being able to do all the things and somehow um, stretch our day and fit all the tasks. And you gotta work, you have a full-time job, you have a side hustle that you need to grow, your kids, your marriage, do all that and do it all well, take care of your home, keep it always clean. Plus, on top of that, you gotta get up early and journal. You gotta go work out 3 times a day. You gotta go do yoga, take walks in the woods, take, breaks for self-care. You meet up with friends, you go on trips, and it just never ends, all these things. And we think that once I finally can squeeze it all and do it all, and be able to give time to all of those things, that's when I will feel balanced. I can balance work and life. But the truth is, it's unrealistic. Nobody can do all those things all the time, every day.
No.
So we feel kind of like we're failing because we just can't reach there. We can't get there. And on social media, we see all these pictures, and that is so not true,
Mm-hmm.
And I think the trick here, and that's what she talks about, it's not about like doing all the things all the time. You got to do the right things at the right time. So, for example, like I think about myself and my journey, Black Friday is a very, very busy time for me. Like I know I have several days or 2 weeks when I need to put in a lot of work because that's the busiest time. That's my focus. And I cannot feel bad about not spending time with my kids, taking them to parks every day, because this is the time to work. And, and I feel good about it because right now I focus on that and I can do it well. Then I recently was featured by Etsy. That was this big deal, came from nowhere. And for 3 days, I had a product just flying off my shelves nonstop. And I probably in that weekend, I made what I make a month. It was crazy. And I'm the only one working. I don't have help. It's all me doing everything. So I just had to tell my husband, honey, all the meals and the kids are on you for the next 3 days when I need to prepare this and ship it out, because it wasn't product that was sitting ready. I had to actually make things.
Oh man.
It's this, and this wasn't embroidery. This was like embroidery designs that pretty much I had to cut out 1,500 little design pieces in 2 to 3 days and ship them on time. So yes, so I put all the family stuff on hold and I said, okay, honey, you're in charge of that right now because I need to focus on this. And then I can't blame myself for not playing every day with them. I was working day and night to get this done, but then it's all done and over. Then Christmas comes and I close up my shop and I don't think about my work. And for the first time in 3 years, I was able to take time off, and we left to see family. We were gone, so no work. And it's the priority is my family. I spend time with them. So then that's pretty much how you think about what is the right time to do right now, and you feel good about your decision, and you just you feel confident that this is what you should be doing, and that's where the balance comes from. It's not so much like how much I can fit in my day, and more efficient, more productive, more organized, and those are all good things, very good things. They helps me tremendously. But the true balance, I feel like, doesn't come from finding more hours in a day. It's more about how you feel and the life you create for yourself, and just achieving your goals, having fulfillment, and just doing the work you love. And that's what we all really crave. It's just somebody's picture of balance can look different from yours. The world tells you need to do all those things, and you're failing if you're not. But don't let that discourage you, because you decide what's right for you, and you only know what's what you want and what's right for you. So just
I feel like
my
I'm
word for the
after
day.
that. Like It's so good, so
Yeah,
good.
and it's
So
it's
true.
like it's from the book, I didn't say it. I'm just so there's just so truth in that people,
Hmm.
I feel like we need to realize, because um it's um it's very easy to see, like, look around and see what social media tells you, what they like, this picture that they paint, and it's just not reality. And you can still, here's the truth bomb, you can still be busy. No, you can be busy but still have balance in your life. And it's true, I am busy, but I do the work I love, I bring meaningful income, I still get to see my kids grow up, and I am my own boss. So there's that balance in that. That's all I've ever wanted. And no matter how many hours I work, as long as I'm happy, and this works for me and my family. That's it.
That's it. You're right. That's all that matters. And I like this concept about, balance, but over time. Like I see it almost like there are seasons throughout the year.
For
Like
sure.
there are seasons for doing certain things, more of certain things than others, where you have to focus on, maybe you focus more on your business, like you said, around the Black Friday, if that's something you do, or pre-Christmas preparation or whatever. And it might take you, if you're new especially, it might take you a few years to kind of get into the rhythm of that. But I feel like, I know my life now is very rhythmic over the year. Like there are certain times of the year where I do certain things in my personal life and in my business life, and it's not all balanced all the time. There's going to be times where you're more focused on one thing than another, and that's fine. Like that's just perfectly normal. And yeah, you can't do all of the things all of the time to the perfect level. Like it's just not possible. So I think that was excellent
Yeah.
advice. Thank
Good.
you
Well,
for
that was
that.
a really good question.
Okay, so well, we're approaching the end of our hour, so I guess I'll wrap up with a couple of final questions. One of which maybe is what you just said then, but is there another piece of advice that you would love to give makers, and maybe to rephrase this, if you could speak to your earlier self who is starting out, what's something you really wish that you could tell yourself?
Oh, goodness. Well, um, what I think would be a good advice for somebody starting out is, um, do the best you can with what you have where you're at. I feel like that speaks to maybe more of the people who are starting out, because you're limited on resources, or maybe space or knowledge about how to do things. I didn't know anything about running a business, but as long as you're doing the best you can at the time, it's easy to compare with people who are in the same field or industry that are way ahead of you, and then you feel discouraged or jealous, or run away from those feelings. They don't do you any good. If anything, get motivated and see where you can be, but you got to put in the work. And maybe I'm a little old fashioned that way, but I believe in working hard and I have been working hard. But it doesn't mean I didn't work smart. I also worked smart, but it doesn't mean you just figure it out and get to sit back and it's done and that's it, you did all the work. Work never stops. Things change all the time, and you got to keep up with it. You got to stay on top of it. So there's always work to do. There's just like sometimes smarter ways to do it. But yeah, wherever you are in your journey, as long as you just do the best you can, gradually over time, it can be slow growth, it can be fast growth. You will, you will get there, and reach your goals. So just keep at it.
Yes, absolutely. Very good. And do you have are you looking towards the future? Or are there kind of any big plans or projects you have, or are you just kind of happy to keep going with the flow and see where things take you?
I'm very happy to go with the flow. I now finally, I think I like where I'm at. I reached a really big goal this past year. It was my financial goal, and in the very end of December, I set a bold goal of making $100,000 a year, and never I would think that you can do that with embroidery, but it happened, and that's good enough for me. I don't, I'll be happy not just staying where I'm at, just because I'm the only person, doing the job, and one can only do so much, to scale. Sometimes you need to maybe start hiring, and I'm not really looking to do that. But you never know. Who knows what will happen in 5 years? You can plan all you want, but you really don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. So I know for sure that I will not go back to working a regular 9 to 5 job. I like being my own boss, and once you experience that, this is what I'm going to be doing. I will have my business. It might look different, it might change somewhat, but I'll be a happy business owner, doing what I love and being my own boss. Bringing income to my family, and this is where I'll be.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Like once you become your own boss, it's like the
Yes.
idea of going back to working a job is not appealing
Oh yeah,
at all.
no, thank you. No, it's pretty cool thinking about us like makers. You created a job for yourself from nothing. You just created a job, and you should be very proud of yourself.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's pretty amazing. All these people out there all over the world just creating something out of nothing and
Yeah.
employing themselves and making a living out of it, which is fantastic. Okay, did you by any chance bring along today a quote that you're a fan of that
Quotes.
inspires you or
Yes, I have a
motivates
quote. I have many quotes, and I
you?
like have trouble thinking which one should I. But just to keep it simple, I like this quote has um, always been like in the back of my mind through my journey, and it's by Estee Lauder, and I don't know if I say it right. Estee Lauder,
Hmm.
she does makeup, but she says, "Don't dream about success, work for it." And there's again about working. Working, you gotta work. You gotta do the work. So yeah, all the people look around and they they have a dream. They talk about pursuing their passion. Well, you gotta start working. You gotta
Hmm.
put in the effort and the hours, and if you do that, you will get somewhere, hopefully where you want to be. So that's I like the quote, "Don't dream about
Yeah,
it, work for it."
I
um,
do too.
Maybe not, yeah, a popular kind of view these days. Everybody wants to get a easy way, get rich, and but I'm not about cutting corners and finding loopholes.
Hmm.
So yeah,
Yeah,
don't be afraid to roll up your sleeves. That's what I believe.
yeah, I agree, and I think I people who like myself, I've been in business for a very long time. And so I've reached the point where I don't have to work as hard or as long
Hmm.
hours as I did in the beginning. And I worry sometimes that people will look at that and I'll be, like, oh, well, why can't I do a four-day work week? And I'm like, well,
That's
I'm
right.
I'm 13 years in. My husband works with me full time. Like it's not like I'm the only person running. If I was the only person running both my businesses, I would have much longer work hours than I do now. There's two people running the business and running the home as well. He does the bulk of the domestic stuff. So like you were saying earlier, you can't really compare your situation to someone else's situation because they're at a different point in their journey. They have different support structures around them. You can only look at your own situation and go, how can I make this situation work better for me? Are there things that I can do where I am right now to, work smarter or get help from someone or, whatever it might be. Just focus on you and your situation. And the same, like you mentioned earlier about looking at other people's social media and comparing yourself. Look, I think it's helpful and important to look at the your competition or the other people in your niche, just to get an idea of what they're doing and what's working in that space. But then stop looking at it.
Yes,
Like don't keep going back to those people over and over again, and then thinking, oh, why aren't I doing as well as them? Why aren't I doing this? You have to change your focus once you've done like that market research. Change your focus to you because your business is the only one you control. You don't control anybody else's business. You don't control how successful they are. And if you keep getting distracted and envious and jealous of how somebody else is doing, you're wasting energy that you could be putting into your own project and your own thing. And I think that's a really important thing
100%.
to do.
Absolutely. Yes.
Go look at Yulia's shop, look at her Instagram for inspiration as to what is possible and what you can do if you commit to it and commit to the work and figure out a way that works, for you. But then don't get caught up in that. I mean, the same thing with me. There's plenty of people who have bigger Instagram followings than me, or more successful businesses than me, or more sales than me. I don't care, because it's not me, and that's not what matters to me.
You gotta do you. You do you,
Yeah.
and no matter what people say, or you gotta do what you want.
Yeah. If you're happy and you're getting the results you want, that's all that matters in the end of the day. So just work towards your dream and do it your way. Awesome. Yulia, this has been an absolute pleasure to chat with you today.
Well, thank you for having me. Me too. Yes.
I love your story. I love your passion and your dedication to working hard and figuring it out. And it's really paid off for you. And I'm so happy to see that. If people do want to check out your work, where can they go to find you?
Yes. So MatryoshkaDollShop is my website. It will take you straight to my Etsy shop. And also I am on Instagram a lot every day. Stop by, message me, say hello, I'll chat with you. It's also MatryoshkaDollShop.
Easy peasy to find. And of course, we'll put the links in the show notes if you're not sure how to spell it.
Yes.
So you can go find it, but I'm sure it won't be too difficult because it pops right up. So thank you so much for sharing your story with us today, Yulia, and I'll be following and seeing what you're doing into the future.
Thanks so much, Jess. It's been a joy.
I hope you enjoyed listening to that as much as I enjoyed recording it. It was super fun, and there was so much to gain from what Yulia has gone through and the lessons she's learned. And I hope she inspired you. I hope she inspired you as to what is possible when you are smart about it and you put the work in. And she's done an amazing job. Thank you again for listening to the show. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't on your favorite podcatcher. And if you are enjoying this show, please do give me a rating and a review. It really brightens my day when I see somebody give us a 5-star review and write what you love about the show. And of course, it helps other people to know that the show is worth listening to. So if you could do that over on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify, that would be amazing. Thank you so much for being here. And remember, if you want to spruce up your Etsy shop, head on over to youtube.com/JessVanDen and take part in my free Etsy shop spring clean challenge that is running right now. And hey, if you're listening to this later on, the videos will still be there. You can go work through it at your own pace and your own time and do it at any time. So thank you for being here. Thank you to everyone who supports the show. I will be back again soon with another episode. Bye for now.